So we kind of talked about this uh, a little bit earlier. Do you, you met me and Grumpy and
Mhm.
Fateless and some of the rest of the crew because of piracy, because you got pirated.
Right.
With a lot of, I mean, Spectrum's always an ebb and flow place, right? One week
Mhm.
it's technical issues or it's got Spectrum on fire, and then the next week it's PvP is awful, and you know how it goes. So
Yeah.
do you feel that piracy has a legitimate place in the great Star Citizen universe?
Yeah, and I definitely put in there part of my response just that day of when that actually event happened. Piracy will always be a check. Like if CIG ever wants to know what is the most lucrative gameplay, figure out where the pirates are hanging out, and that's where you'll find out where something needs to be balanced. So if a pirate is willing to hang out at an OAM jump point at Yella, something is off around Yella that requires you to pay attention to rebalance it. And in this case, it was because salvaging was making too much money, and the reason you hang out at the Yella as a pirate, having done piracy now as myself, it's so boring. Like it, I mean, it's kind of like being in the military. Like everyone's like, oh yeah, you watch these, or like being a cop, like oh, once you get to be in that gun battle, and that looks so exciting. Now, well, most of the time is paperwork, hanging out in your cop car, waiting for something to happen. It's a whole lot of hurry up and wait.
Yep.
That's exactly what the definition of pirate is. It's a lot of hurry up and wait. You'll get to watch a YouTube video, but if they did a live stream on it, it would be 10 or 11 hours of hurry up and wait and 1 hour of active gameplay where you're pirating somebody and it's like cool footage.
Yeah. Like I try to explain that to people because people are like, there's not enough risk as a pirate. I'm like, you don't really, okay, you don't understand what we're actually doing. Like,
Mhm.
we are sitting there and either waiting for hours and hours and hours, or we're actively sitting in quantum, jumping from place to place to place, looking,
Mhm.
and then you find a target and it's over in 5 minutes, and then you got to move all these boxes from place to place, and then you do it all over again. So you could play 8 hours and maybe only have truly 10 minutes of player versus player interactive gameplay. And sometimes you don't even get that
Yeah.
because the person's like, I'm not dealing with it, backspace or Alt F4, or, whatever. And that's fine. I mean, you can do that, but there needs to be more risk. Like it's not like it's not like we're going out there. I mean, it happens very, very rarely where it's like everything works out and there's just ship after ship after ship. But that is super. That might happen twice a year, right?
Mhm.
More often than not, you're just like you said, you're sitting there, you're talking to your friends, you're reading something online because nobody's coming through. So, but
Yeah. And people could say you're a bad pirate then because you're not at the spots where people are, but then there's still a component of having to research where you need to be then.
yeah,
Whether it's watching YouTube videos to go, okay, well, this trade route is lucrative, so we need to make sure we have a mantis. And this trade route, we maybe need 3 or 4 mantises to actually cause enough of a net to actually catch somebody.
hmm
So there's a time sink component with pirating where either you need to already be there and you know where to be, or you have to do research to figure out where it is people need to go. But again, there's still a component of you. It needs to be worth the payout.
yeah,
So there has to be some sort of imbalance or some sort of reward based off of another player taking the risk of doing that activity.
and one last thing on pirating. Um,
Mhm.
a lot of people don't know this, and I want to stress this. Okay, there's a lot of people that will be in a reclaimer or you know a Carrick, a Polaris even, that get hit by pirates and they go, well, you didn't take anything, but you never go back and actually look, right? And they're like, well, I had no cargo, so there's nothing for you to take. And you have to realize that in today's Star Citizen, there's more than just valuable cargo. Your ship can be turned into valuable cargo, right? So not every pirate organization, but quite a few will have an entire division that is logistics. Okay, they hit an empty Polaris or reclaimer or Carrick or fill in the blank, and then they have their logistics crew come in and scrape it, munch it, and move it off and add it to the coffers, right, to be split up.
Mhm.
So it's you know I don't get me wrong. I'm not going to hit me like if I was pirating right now, I'm not going to hit an empty vulture because it's not worth anything. But if
Mhm.
an empty reclaimer comes by, that's some decent money right there as far as scraping it and munching it and having somebody
Mhm.
haul that off to another location for us. But I'm not one of those guys that's going to go, oh, Cuddy Black, it's empty. I'm going to shoot it down and have a reclaimer come in. That's not worth it. But the bigger ships, yeah. Oh, you're C2, yeah, I'll take that. I'll munch it and whatnot. But just throwing it out there because I see that every once in a while where like I was on my reclaimer minding my own business and pirates came and got me and I didn't have any cargo. And then I'll ask, did you go back and see what they were doing? Well, no, because they're jerks. Like, well, they could have been salvaging your ship.
Yeah, part of the challenge with that too is the inconsistency with scanning as it is. So,
Yes.
it
Yeah.
may not show that you have any cargo. It may show you do have cargo and you don't. I don't typically see that. I typically see it'll say no cargo, but then there'll be cargo on there.
Mhm.
So that is really inconsistent. Mixed with it appears that the coming days of being able to turn in a ship that's been downed is upon us. And the reason I say that there's a mission now in 4.1 where you can actually tow so there's like a salvaging type of mission that you can actually tow a ship to a salvage yard and turn it in for money. So
That
that is around the corner.
I have been asking for that for years. Like the
Yeah.
moment we started pirating, and there was this is so I did pirating
Mhm.
back in the 317 era, which really it was kidnapping and extortion. That's that's really
Right.
what it was because we didn't have physicalized cargo. You might
Mhm.
blow up a ship and be like, "Oh, I pirated somebody because a box dropped and their gear was in it," and
Mhm.
that's what pirating was then. And as soon as they introduced physicalized cargo, which was only one SCU boxes, so let me tell you how painful it was to hit a C2 that was filled to the gills of one box at a time, 596
Right.
boxes. That was painful.
Yep.
Um, so
I would do that to Spy Pirates. Absolutely. Because you could choose what size boxes you want. That's the best
yeah,
way to go about it.
yeah,
Well, you're gonna, you can hit me, but have fun unloading that.
yeah. I mean, we did it, and it was,
Yeah.
but
You
like you
have to.
said,
It's worth the money.
it was time consuming, right? Takes you
100%. Yeah.
45 minutes to an hour to unload
Yeah.
it all. But
You won but lost.
exactly. And but I like I said, I've been doing it for a long time, and ever since
Mhm.
they added physicalized cargo, I was like, okay, we now the next step is bringing in ships and selling whole ships. So
Yeah, I just want to know. I mean, that's a specific mission, so I'm not saying that that's going to be possible with whatever ship you pick up. But there is like you can get a cutter that it's kind of like a salvage mission, where you get a claim. There's a cutter out there. In this specific example, it was a cutter that was off by itself, and the guy used an SRV to tow it back to the salvaging yard, and they could sell that cutter to the salvage yard. So I'm not saying a personal cutter or a personal ship can be done, but it's on its way if they're kind of figuring that out just from a mission standpoint.
I really
So
hope they are.
yeah,
I mean, I really
but
really hope they
it
are.
could. Yeah,
So here's a more spicy subject, I guess.
sure.
We it is murder. We asked if piracy is a legitimate game loop.
Mhm.
Is murder hoboing a legitimate game loop?
Yeah, so I'm part of an org that actually will do that and partake. I will go along with it as well. Not That's not something that's not gameplay for me. Like, I mean, I'll be a part of it, and I'm glad I'm on that end of it more than. And I'm not really doing all the shooting anyways. I'm just there to support or I'll scout.
Mhm.
So I don't like to be associated with it. And then if you find that Guardian, I apologize to anyone if Guardian has killed you. But I don't. That's really hasn't been the case because so far, whenever I'm a part of that, I'm always just behind, anyways. I'm usually in my Firebird. I'm scouting out like, hey, someone's coming or something. Locking down planet, right? So you got Pyro 4 or something, and you've locked that place down, and you're going around the different derelicts there, and you're killing people. I have been a part of that, and it's good experience to like figure out how to fight because some people will come that are wanting to fight because they'll see it in chat. So there's good experience to be had from there. But for me, like, is that fun gameplay for me? Obviously not. Do I think it should be happening? Probably not. There needs to be something to probably deal with that, but I don't know what it is. I don't know how you fix that, and I just don't know.
So my thoughts on how to address murder hoboing is kind of Eve like, but once again, the game is not in a state that we can do that yet. So
Hmm.
you need to have AI that is capable, and you need to have
Right.
servers that allow the AI to be capable, right? It's
Hmm.
because it's a mixed bag every time. You could get AI that are right on point and you're not expecting it and they're deadly as hell. And then there's other times where you're like, oh yes, I'm gonna get AI, and you think you need to be ready for it, and then they just look at you and you know, you can run up and poke them with your gun, or you can
Hmm.
fly past them a few times and they're not responding at all. So I think we need
Right.
to get those technicalities out of the way first. But if we had an actual security force, right, and you know, crime stats kind of remind me like stars in GTA. You know,
Hmm.
once you get to like 4 or 5, you should probably have a significant amount, especially if you're in Stanton, significant
Right.
amount of the UEE chasing around after you, right? And
Right.
you're and because of the way money is now worked out in this game, like you should have a substantial bounty on your head so that players want to chase after you as well.
Right.
Now, as far as other ways that I think you can combat that, um, there's a couple. Do like Eve, like I said, where you have high sec, medium sec, low sec, and then null. And depending on where you're at is going to be the police response time to that, right? So if you're in a high sec and you're at a station and somebody starts, you know, clubbing seals outside of that station,
Hmm.
the response is going to be swift and vicious, and you might get one guy, you might get lucky and get two guys, but you're going to get vaporized. Like it's coming. And
Yeah.
medium, maybe the security presence is a little bit less and you can get away with it a little bit more, but at the same time, once you get to a certain point, the AI needs to be chasing after you. Players should be chasing after you because the bounty's high enough on you. um Low, you know, I don't want to go through all of it, but you know how it
Right.
kind of works. I think
Yeah.
another thing that would definitely help out too is it mostly happens around stations, right? What
Right.
I don't understand about the stations, they're better now, but a lot of the cannons and torpedoes, they seem to be meant for bigger ships and not single seat fighters. And
Yeah.
I think if you put a few of those turrets that we find around bunkers around
Yeah.
those stations, those single seat fighters are not going to last very long against a barrage of that.
Yeah.
So I think that would be different ways to deal with it. Do you have any ideas on that?
Yeah, no, my most recent experience was just that. I was trying to transfer. So it happened to be with this event, I was mining and I had some stuff like gold that couldn't be sold at the station, like Checkmate or whatever. So I was trying to go from Pyro back to Stanton so I can go to like one of the regular stations to sell it, and proceeded to get shot at by an F7, probably an F7A, but some sort of Hornet right there at the gateway, right at the jump gate. And of course, I'm like, oh, I'm going to defend myself. I targeted said F7 and then was instantly destroyed by said security turrets there because, you know, I was the bad guy. I never even got a shot off at the other guy, but because I guess I targeted him after he was blowing into me, you know, shooting at me, I instantly was also a bad guy and decided, yeah, like you said, those turrets are fine at blowing up something like a Connie. So I was just gone instantly. And that's how I knew the turrets had done it. And it wasn't this particular, you know, loser. Like it was just so. I mean, I hang it out at the. That's up to somebody. That's their gameplay, and I don't really care. But like I said, I still have plenty of money, so it's just like, I need to go transfer this over. But like the idea for me, if you are using the game systems, um, when they're not intended, then you are absolute. I mean, I think it's fine for, you know. There's the whole idea of banning and whatever. I don't think necessarily ban, but definitely suspension for. And part of it too is making the game work correctly. So in this case, it's more of a CIG problem than it was that player's problem. But there needs to be some sort of component with those exploits when people are doing things that are either in, like, no one wants to be PvP'd in an area where you can't PvP. Like that doesn't,
Right.
like, if you can't use your gun, that's not PvP. That's just you being a tool. So I'll die and I'll just respawn. I'm not gonna, like, I'm still gonna sleep fine that night. So it doesn't really, it's not like it's like getting under myself. I'm not gonna put anything in the comments. I don't care. Like, I'm still gonna be fine. But the idea that the game allows that is just gonna hurt the customer base. Like, it's just not good. So the only thing, kind of to your point, you know, when it comes to that kind of stuff, yeah, there's a irritating factor, and yeah, there should definitely, they need to fix those. I think all of those are really good ideas to get that going once they can get that going. But the idea of definitely the next thing on murder hobos is the idea of those that are like, I had a whole C and the guy was clipping my whole C and I accidentally hit him because I was pulling away, and then the turrets attacked me at the station as I had run. Some dude was in a white sperm suit,
Yeah.
just floating around in the loading areas waiting for someone to hit him. And so the ship would get blown up, and I killed this guy, and he's just floating around. And that's, again, I can't even consensually PvP him
Right.
because I can't even pull your gun out around the station. So that kind of stuff and they're doing it just because they got nothing better to do. I guess I feel bad for people that have nothing better to do in life than that. But,
once again, it's no secret.
Trailing can be fun though. So,
yeah, like it's no secret. I know some of the guys from Griefernet, right? And
sure.
One of the things that I have seen them say multiple times is boredom creates murder hobos. So that's honestly, that's kind of the key behind it all, is like, as much as there is to do in Star Citizen, if you've been here long enough,
oh no,
there's still not enough to do, right? So
it's a major, you need to make your own fun. Star Citizen is 100% a make your own fun game.
I agree.
That's part of an allure though too, for those that are into that, like, you get to kind of explore things out. So you kind of get to do, you want to be creative about how you want to make money or something. But yeah, it's very much a make your own fun type of game.
I agree. And I won't get into it now, but I only have a few more questions left. I was going to ask you about how you do you like master modes, but you kind of answered that already.
Yeah, I don't remember that much of the old flight model. But the only thing I miss about the old flight model is being able to turn my shields on in nav mode. I don't know if that's master modes or not, to be honest. I mean, I know it came with the master modes, but I think you could easily turn that off in the old mode anyways. Like, I don't think you had to have that as a component.
Yeah, you could bring up your power and then just click the shields and turn them off. And
yeah, I'm just saying, I think they could have nerfed it anyways like that. I think they could have said back then, and because we still had nav mode, didn't we? Or I don't even remember now.
No. So you were like, when you turned on your ship, your shields would be on,
just on,
and you could just go right out of the hangar, and there was no when your shields were on and your guns were on, there was no, for example, in the Gladiator 325 meters a second barrier.
Right.
You could just go 0 to, I think it was 1175 in the Gladius, like that. I mean, with afterburners, of course.
I think we had to turn QT on though. I didn't just always see jump points, I'm pretty sure, right?
Well, yeah, you still have to hit B on your keyboard, or for me on my key bindings for my joystick, I would hit a button,
the joystick button. Yeah,
and it would turn on the QT, and then you would have to align it and wait for it to do its thing, and then you would hit B again, or on your keybind on your joystick, and then boom, you'd go. But your shields are still up, and you can still use your guns. Well,
that's what I'm saying. I think you could make it so when you hit that B, the shields go off, right? Like, so there's still a mode there. So I think they could have done that in the previous mode if they wanted to. So I don't necessarily blame that on master modes, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I just flip back and forth between the modes. I don't know if I care one way or the other. The argument that, like, so we are basically fighting in like what would be World War II type of fighting speeds, I guess, is what it's coming down to. And I know American units, so I don't even know what the meters per second that we're going. It really doesn't translate to me anyways. And we went to the moon, so we get to call it whatever speed we want. But really, when it comes down to a lot of that stuff, I mean, the whole game is fairly made up. We're having to, like, lasers. We're having to lead targets with lasers that you can see.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. Turn a flashlight on right now at one of your kids or something. You'll instantly see, oh, that light hit. I don't have to lead the target at all. So this whole, the purity of, we'd all be going really fast. Yeah, if this was all realistic, well, it would fly more like, the real physics we know. It'd be much more like, why can't I think of the Amazon show?
The Expanse.
The Expanse, right? And so that's where I kind of like the verse thing that they're working on. I may not like the way the ships look or whatever, but that's just so more realistic, right? So if you want to talk about realism, why are we leading targets with lasers? Why are we, is it maybe plasma? It's not like it. Yeah. So you can only nitpick so much with Star Citizen. And I think it's one of those things where if they want to make the speed this or that, I guess I could care less. But yeah, I'm not familiar enough with either one of them and nothing. I don't use them in PvP enough to have one way or the other.
Fair enough. I mean, I think that's a pretty good assessment. I mean, like you said, if you're not doing a lot of PvPing or ship to ship combat, it probably doesn't matter to you one way or the other, to the
Yeah.
to the players that are not into that sort of thing. So I mean I get it, I understand it. I'm not
Mm.
gonna sit here and be like, well, you have to dislike master modes because I dislike master modes. No, I'm not.
Right.
I won't do that to you or anybody.
Yeah.
I dislike them. I have my reasons for
Sure.
disliking them, and yeah, but I mean, if you're not into, like I said, ship combat or PvP, then it's
Yeah.
probably not that big of a deal to you. Or so I
Yeah.
wish I
Just
I wish I was in
I'm
your
so
shoes.
boringly indifferent. Yeah, I'm just
Uh,
so boringly indifferent about it. I if they changed
da-
it tomorrow, well, that's fine.
damn it, Guardian,
Uh,
be
yeah,
controversial.
I know. Yeah, can't. I just literally don't give a crap. So
No,
I
that's fine.
remember doing a video like with the F8. I had the F8 at the time. I think it must have been around the time they were doing the tickets again, and I wanted to use that ship. And I saw it was one of the first few ships because there for a while only certain ships had master modes in the PTU or something like that. So I was checking it
Yeah,
out and I gave people some guidance. But um,
yeah, it
yeah,
was.
I mean, I just
Yeah,
yeah.
what they did in the PTU was the same as what they did in Arena Commander for almost a year before Master Modes got released. Like it was just the Gladius, and then it was the
Mhm.
Gladius and the. I'm probably going to get this wrong,
So the
so
Hornet or something.
comment section, don't try to
Yeah,
do the
roast
whole
him.
pitchforks and fire thing.
Yeah.
So I think it was the Connie was
Okay.
next, and then they added like the Vanguard, and they just kept adding some
Yeah.
ships here and there. And then at the end, I think it was like six, somewhere between six and eight
Okay.
ships that had it. And then they did the same thing in the PTU where only so many ships had it.
Yeah. No, yeah, I remember that kind of transitionary period. I remember trying it out, but I really don't care as much. I mean, I kind of actually like the whole nav mode. When I go to SCM, I'm instantly slowed down. Like, you're pulling G's, how much you're slowing down.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff I actually gotten used to. So like if I had to go back to, I'm going to go from nav mode to SCM mode, I probably hit some more asteroids than I'm used to hitting at this point because that's probably how I come into the station at this point. Like I actually prefer, speed for me is much more important than the actual, let me get my shields on. So a lot of people would like pull in with the whole C and they'll go, okay, or a mole, and they'll say, hey, you get to your jump location, quick, go to SCM so you can get your shields up. No, I'm like, I'm going to hit nav mode. I'm going to like
Just
boost
go.
as much as I can towards the station. And then I'll turn the SCM on when I get closer. If that, sometimes I'll just slow down and I'll have jump ready and then I'll jump away if I need to. Like I'd rather almost stay in nav. Like if you're relying on your shields, you're probably not setting up for, you could be setting you up for surface success, but if you're having to wait for I guess up to 600 seconds, because right now, a lot of the stations, they have, you're having to wait for hangars because a lot of the hangars either don't work or you're waiting you're in a queue of like 5 or 6. And it says a maximum of 600 seconds. I don't know if that's actually holds true, but you're having to wait in a queue when you get to a station these days. And that's just not sustainable. So I don't want to hang out there with shields on or otherwise. I'm just going to jump away and I'll go somewhere else or I don't know, go play a different game, I guess. If they don't want to manage a player load, then I guess that's just where we're at. So
Not tonight, and maybe we could get a few other people to discuss it. But one
mhm.
thing that I'm not sure if I brought it up or if Marcus brought it up, but it was we were both streaming at the same time,
Mhm.
and the one thing that I would really like to talk with people about is the scalability in Star Citizen. Like,
Right.
we talk about 1,000 player servers and the dream of having 10,000 player servers.
Mhm.
Is the scalability in what we have right now even is that even achievable? But like I said, I want to we could be here for an hour talking about that. So
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the tech's not there, and probably the engine's not ready for that. For me personally, I mean, I'd like to see it, right? But the expectations versus reality, I think it'd be a slideshow. We'd be playing PowerPoint, star PowerPoint at that point, where it's a turn-based RPG at that point where we're taking turns because that's when you get a chance to make a movement.
right.
But maybe there's a chance where it goes back to solo a ship, right? Can you have a solo Polaris? So is there a chance we can get 20 people, but we have 20 Polarises and each person has one, and I don't want to say NPCs, but yeah, I don't even know if the game can handle that.
Yeah, well,
let's say you can take a full, because I like to take fully crewed hammerheads and stuff like that. Like you do Vaughn missions and you can get into the ship and then you have NPCs working for you at that point once you take it over. I actually like that. And having NPCs work for me is fun, even if they're potatoes. I mean, sometimes it's still, I mean, I'd prefer them to work, but shooting other ships or doing other missions where you have NPCs in the turrets. And if you die or whatever, it's no big deal. Like you're not hurting anyone's feelings. You're not losing,
Right.
that you're being able to do that activity that has multiple entities and meant to be people. But yeah, I think there's still more success to be had there where you have a number of ships, somewhere maybe 10-ish or so, but still able to do it with solo, where you have 10 people instead of having 10 ships, 10 people, 10 ships, instead of saying we have 10 ships here and we need 10 per, we need 100 people essentially.
Right.
I can't see tech keeping up with it. Whether, what's the difference in ping rate between all these different people, and I don't think the technology's there.
No, I mean, I'm going to say something controversial. I don't think server meshing, the tech that we have for server meshing, I don't think that's even all the way there yet. And
no, yeah,
I think we see that, if you play daily, I think, let me, if you play often enough in a week, I think it's reasonable to say that you see it a couple of times a week where you're just like, whoa, what is going on today in Star Citizen? And I think that's where some of the issues we're still having with the 4.0 branch, and I think we're going to see it for a little while, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I expected to be in 2 different shards in my reclaimer or something when I first got on, but that's not at all, because that's what they were showing in the videos, right? There was the idea that in your own ship you can have 2 shards in it or something, but that doesn't pan out, and it's really just a bunch of different shards or servers for the different zones.
Yeah.
And even the other day, like you said, I do play quite a bit, and so when I went to checkmate, there was nobody around. I'm like, oh cool, I can just go ahead and get a hangar, and I tried requesting a hangar from ATC and nothing. I wasn't getting anything. I was like, okay, this is weird. So I jumped away, and then I jumped right back, and I tried again. And I was like 5th in line, and there were people. So like somehow I happened to get in an instant or some area where it was dead or wasn't working, or maybe I wasn't quite there yet. I've seen some bad desync with my mole when I'm out and I'm mining. I'm right next to the mining minerals, having flown from an OM marker or just right next to, like, maybe I go to Bloom and I fly down to the planet manually, like in nav mode, because I don't want to be around anybody. And I'll be right next to minerals on the planet surface. I'd flown all the way from outer orbit down to the planet surface, and I'm ready to mine. I'll get down there into the mining spot, and it doesn't see the minerals in front of me. I'm like, well, okay, that's weird. I went back up to the top of the ship, and I'm back in space again. I'm like, that is wild.
Yeah.
What the heck kind of desync is that? And that's not been one time. I've had that a couple times since 4.0 has been out. It's just like, I have been flying for minutes. Like, I'm not even like, it's not even close. So it's not like I'm about to hit the planet because I'm relatively close. There's a little desync. No, it's like I am back in orbit, for crying out loud. I have to make all that journey again. We're talking maybe another 10 minutes. Not even, I guess maybe 5 to 10 minutes back towards the planet. So yeah, I don't think the tech is there.
Yeah, same. It's a work in progress, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I got the last 5 questions, but I have to ask about item recovery to go into the other ones, and we covered it a little bit. So what's your opinion on item recovery? Tier 0, 1, 2. You don't have to go super long, but like what's your whole take on that?
Yeah, I'm being winded on a lot of these questions, but
no, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay. Tier 0, I'm actually very excited about that. So I'm very excited about that. How they implement it, I don't know if I care too terribly much. I do know I don't want to pay 5% of my total income towards it. Like you said, I'd rather pay a set price. If it's a pledge item, they need them to decide, are you going to pay for that pledge item if you respawn, or do you want to pay a set price? So, do they want to assign a price? Like another good example, the P8. So you got the P8 AR that came, they're now in the game and you can actually get them in loot boxes, but previously they were only available in the pledge store. So that P8 doesn't have a price assigned to it because you can't buy it in game. Right. So do they want to assign a price to that and I pay that, or do they want to just say, because you bought it with real world money, it's always available to you? I don't really have a big preference one way or the other, but I can see how people that have pledged for it probably don't want to pay for it in game, which I'm fine with. So I'm indifferent on that perspective, but yeah, the idea of being able to actually use the items you purchased in the pledge store is much more appealing to me. How they go about that tier 0, I'd almost rather them do insurance at this point too. but I think they do something because it's been far too long. I don't know. Again, I've never seen the option to do restore. I guess there was some kind of account reset you could
Yeah.
maybe do back in the day.
Yeah.
I've never seen that, so I've never, it's the other kids telling you about the candy store they've been to that you've just never seen,
Yeah.
or something. But yeah, I'm very excited for it. How they implement it, I'm not super one way or the other. But again, price wise, I definitely don't want to be paying a set price. I mean, not a set price. I don't want to be paying a percentage of my income towards restoring that kind of item. It needs to be a set price that's reasonable.
No, I agree. I agree. We have differing opinions on it, and that's fine. I'm not going to try to persuade you one way or the other, but there, like we've discussed, there does need to be a penalty, but at the same time, like if you bought stuff with real money, like you should be able to use it. Now, when item recovery first came about, when they first started talking about it, I thought it was only going to be for pledge store items only and not in-game stuff. So I was all on board for it back then because, look, as I said in a video or a stream earlier, it's like Prometheus and Fire, right? They came out with a pledge store. They sold armor, they sold weapons, they sold X things in there, and we can't take that back now. We're kind of stuck with it, and I guess we just kind of have to find the best solution for that moving forward. I really don't know how else to put it, because I'm not in favor of tier 0. Tier 1 and 2 look better to me, but it's still not as good. But hey, I mean, it's something, so that way people can take their pledge or their subscriber flare stuff out and use it instead of it just sitting in their inventory collecting dust like it has been for 2 years now. Because we used to have item recovery, or we used to have character resets, so you could go onto the RSI website, sign in, click account, and then click character reset, and you could say, hey, my character screwed up, I need a reset, and within 15 minutes to a couple hours your character would be reset. If you lost pledge store stuff, like armor and all that, it would be restored. They got rid of that because, well, people were using it to restore their items, right? And I can see where that would get annoying on CIG side. And they also said that there were some technical issues that was going on the backlog. I don't know how true that is, and they never really specified what issues they were causing. So yeah, they took it away, and now they have like a soft character reset, but it doesn't always fix the problem. Whereas the old one, like it completely reset your character, like all of it. And it was better. Some people will now tell you too, the big thing too was, say you bought X armor, right? And I pirated you and I took it from you. People would tell you, if you would say, oh, I lost my pledge item, somebody took it from me, they would say, hey, go to the pledge store, melt it, and then rebuy it. And and you could get it back. But there's a lot of people that don't know that. And then there's also the what would you call it?
Well, it's got to keep putting in your buyback too. You're gonna buybacks and be full of like the same item over and over again.
Yeah, and like it's not optimized, efficient. However,
it's a workaround.
Yeah, it's not a. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna do it once or twice, and then after that, you're gonna be like, screw it. I don't want to go to the website again and melt and then rebuy. Yeah, it gets tiring, right?
Yeah, the only other comment I want to make is actually, I guess I'm torn on the character reset piece, but the big thing for me, you know how many like multi-tools, and because there's a big non-stacking problem with inventory stuff.
Yes.
When you first buy a bunch of suits. So I actually would almost like an item reset from that. I don't want to repay for my components, right? So I have 2 Tauruses, and each of them have 4 of the, oh my gosh, the Lorville, the Arch. Oh my God, I can't think of the gun right now. Yeah, the attritions. So it's got, size 5 attritions, which costs over $1 million aUEC just to and for some reason I keep having to rebuy them after these patches. But components alone are just become more expensive due to the cost increases with inflation. And I don't necessarily want a full character reset because A, I don't want to lose all my money, and B, but I'd rather just those items just all go away. I guess I could start dropping them on the ground and be that guy.
I mean,
I don't know how to get rid. I mean, there's no destroy button. Like I'd rather clear all that out and just get it reset every time I die. So the idea of not having to carry, like, because what happens is on day one, I go to a station like, okay, I'm at the station, I'll just buy 10 multi tools, and that way, if I die again, maybe I'll set my spawn here. I'll have one available, or if I ever come to this station, I'll have one there. Each location will have like 100 crews there, or I'll maybe get 6 sets of armor for each. But when the patch resets, all of that gets sent to your home location, and instead of having 6 armor pieces here or there, you've got 36 or all those different 6. If you never went back to the station again, just gets piled up, and then it's all just in your inventory at Orison or whatever station you decided. So for tier 0, I'm actually more excited about that part of it, where I can say, okay, I need to throw all this out, and I have my gear when I die, and maybe keep 1 or 2 extra armor sets and just use those if for whatever reason I lose it and I can't retain it.
So I used to have stash houses throughout the verse, right? And
Nice.
so if I got killed somewhere near Microtech, I had 1 or 2 stash houses there. Everywhere I had a few of them. Have you ever had it when you go over I don't remember if the percentage thing is up there anymore, but
Yeah,
have you ever gone over?
No, I don't know if it's possible, I guess, but like your homes, I think you get extra at your home, and I always kind of pick the Stanton places. That's kind of thing I've been sticking with the Stanton, like Orison. I just like Orison at this point.
No, I
As
mean,
a home, even though
have you ever gone over that? Like, have you ever gone past 100%?
I don't think so. Not like, I think it's too big for me now.
I have.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
I went like 147% over a couple of times. I went even higher than that.
It stays?
Yes. So,
okay.
Like when did they not do, well, 317 was bad for me. All of 317, they did a reset with every patch, right? But I was accumulating so much stuff so fast throughout those patch cycles. Once I figured out how to play the game,
right,
and just accumulated so much incredibly fast. And then there was a few times where they didn't do wipes for the longest time, and I would accumulate again so much shit everywhere throughout the verse. And then they'd hit a new patch, and we're going to actually do a soft reset, And what happens is if you go over 100%, you can't add anything to your inventory. You can only take things out. And then it becomes this whole big thing. Now, back in the day, it was a lot easier. You can't do it now. It was a lot easier to just move a whole bunch of crap to your ship and then fly it to, Seraphim Station, and then be like, all right, I'm offloading all of this crap at Seraphim Station.
Blow it up in your hangar or something. Yeah.
Now with the way inventory works, it's a lot more of a tedious
I guess thing. Yeah, that's a good point though. Basically I could throw it all into an aSC box and then take that box out, because I really want to dump stuff.
Just eject it into space.
Yeah, I mean, I'll leave it in my hangar and then I guess it should despawn, or if I send it down. So I might do that with storage boxes then. That's a good point. Like that's how I was thinking about literally just throwing it, dumping. You know how you can like put it on the hand on the ground there. But yeah, I guess I could just set it by category and just dump it all in a 8 SC box, and maybe I fly it over Orison and dump it out so it lands, so some noob can be like, oh my god, it's raining gear, and be super stoked over. And that probably crushed him actually. So he just gets crushed by an 8 SC box that lands from the sky right over Orison, and then he spawns and goes, oh, it's like the Wicked Witch. I don't know.
That would be really funny, especially if you had somebody on the ground to capture that moment of either the person getting smushed or opening the box and going, oh my god.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So kind of a 2-part question. Do you, or are you excited for crafting and base building? Do you have any interests or any hopes and dreams and all of that for that?
I kind of don't. So here's my challenge with crafting, and it kind of goes like there's 2 routes with this. One is I'm not super excited about it from the perspective of, do I want to, so knowing the game currently, do I want to craft a base? And I think I've talked about this a little bit with you and Grump. Do I want to craft a base on Yella and leave it there, and like I can spawn here and a little Snow White, and I've got my great little house with my 7 dwarves that I've got there. I'm super stoked. And then some murder hope comes by and just blows it, A2s it or something. Like, cool, well, that hours of work that I've got.
Friendly A2 incoming.
Yeah, like what is the actual plan here? I don't want to invest time into something like that. I'd much rather have a Kraken or some base of operation that, yeah, it can blow up, but I respawn it and I don't have to like care that I've wasted, hours, days, maybe into this whole like Minecrafting a particular area. That's the first part. So, what does crafting look like? How safe is it? It doesn't sound safe at all. So
Mhm.
that from that perspective, I'm not excited. From the perspective of like, yeah, can we create a station? I work with an organization that's protected a little bit better. Yeah, I could see a little bit of excitement. And I did end up grabbing the Pioneer, with like store credit or whatever.
Wow.
And I left it in buyback. Yeah, but I don't have it. And I'm not super stoked about. I mean, it's expensive. I'm not
Yeah,
super
it's
stoked
it is.
about buying it back either. Like it's just sitting there because I'm not that invested in crafting, but I may end up doing it. I'm gonna have to sell a bunch of ships because again, it's just one component of the game, and here I am having to destroy a bunch of different ships that I might actually really want for one ship just to have a leg up or have the meta I need in order to do what I want to do, which could be crafting. So again, that chasing the meta, they're going to probably force me to have to do that for mining because, or not mining, for crafting because you want to actually have the
Crafting,
best
base
stuff.
building.
And if there's a tier system where like, hey, this component for a ship, you can only craft it. Well, I now am forced to craft because I do chase meta. And so if I want to be a competitive performer in the game, I need to now craft this because I can only craft it. So that's my first problem with crafting is, what tier do we have, especially my ship alone? What's my con? Is it a tier 0? Is it a tier 3? The one I pledged for, is it the base bones? Like, is it the bottom bitch? Like, what are we getting when we pledge for this ship? Or is it like, is it the really nice streetwalker? Like, what do we have here?
Yeah.
Like, do we investing for tier 0 and then it's not pay to win in that way. At least they've got that going for them. But on the other hand, I've pledged for this ship, and at the end of the day,
Right.
it's not very good. So then I have to build one. And then it gets into my next component, which is the blueprint piece. So right now, I currently invest in ships that I don't want to. I want in my fleet, but I don't want to have to grind for
Okay.
because the next part is components and reputation. So like when you look at something like the Valkyrie, who wants to pay for the Valkyrie? No one wants to buy the Valkyrie. They want to buy it in game, but I don't want to have to like work towards the Valkyrie and unlock 17 ships before the Valkyrie just so I can craft or buy or have the opportunity to purchase the Valkyrie.
Mm.
I don't want to have to work that rep up. So for me, I would much rather, especially those military ships that they're supposedly going to be harder to get in the chain. So for me, I'm purchasing ships because I don't want to grind for them. So I don't know, am I going to get I'm assuming I'm going to get the blueprint for these ships that I've actually bought and pledged. That's my understanding is how that would maybe work. That way I can craft that ship. So like that's another thing back to the Hornet. I don't overly love the Hornet, but I have one of them because I don't want to have to grind out for the F7A or something like that. I want to be able to just have it
Right.
and not have to worry about grinding out the rep for it or grinding out the pieces for it.
I think it's kind of a double-edged sword in what CIG tells us, right? So
Uh-huh.
they tell us base building. They tell us crafting is going to be tied to base building because that's where you'll build your fabricators.
Right.
Um, and but the problem is like you give us some information, but you don't give us all the information. And it's a good thing because like guys like me and you can sit here and theory craft our asses off, right? And
Right.
it's fun and we get enjoyment talking to each other about what could be, right? But at the same
Right.
time, like that also makes us go, well, what do they actually have in mind? Because I don't want to have to be sitting there looking at the pledge store page all the time to keep up with, like, as you say, the meta or figure out how I'm going to be able to afford X ship to do the thing that I really want to do in the game because of crafting or base building. And they did the same thing with just last year with the ship insurance, LTI, ship insurance
Right.
and warranty. Like you gave us a bunch of information, but you didn't really give us any information, right? So
Right.
like there's this whole battling thing between CIG with what they say to us and what they really mean, I guess. And I don't
Yeah.
like being caught in that weird gray area.
Yeah, I mean, so being an early adopter, I mean, so anyone that gets in the game now is still technically an early adopter. Being
Right.
a part of that and the ease of access for tokens mixed with LTI, for me, because I CCU to like every ship, I think there's probably 2 ships right now that I actually have purchased that are standalone ships. And even then, one of them was just for an LTI because I had bought that ship as. There was only, when I first started to allow myself to purchase 2 ships, I bought 2 ships that were relatively big and expensive. And then I instantly went, wait, why am I doing this? It's a waste of money. So I decided to melt those and I CC chained them instead, and they were much cheaper, right?
Mhm.
So this idea of CCU chaining and the LTI tokens for me, because I'm going to CCU to a ship anyways, and I don't mind melting a chain. Like if right now I do have a Valkyrie, and if it doesn't go any higher, I don't have any qualms of going, okay, well, I'm just going to melt that and I'll just get that money back. It won't be the full value of a Valkyrie, but I will have my money back. There's no sunken cost for me with that.
Right.
I think a lot of people get caught up in that. And they go, oh, I built the CCU chain. I've saved so much money. I must keep it. Like, no, you don't. Just melt it and then do the CCU chain again. The CCU chain will come around again. Like remake it if you want to. I think a lot of people, again, they stick to the CCU chains. The reason I bring that up though is just the idea that I don't see the point of sticking with something if you don't really want to. But I think at the end of the day, I don't know. It doesn't seem worth it to waste so much money into the game. But yeah.
So once again, you're still relatively fresh faced in Star Citizen. Last year they talked about 1.0, right? And it seems like when they talked about it there, they said 12 to 18 months. I'll just add the meme and just say 2 years, right?
Right.
What they showed off there, do you feel that it is do you think they can pull it off in the 2-ish years?
Yeah, I actually, right, maybe it's hopium or copium. I think so. Like Squadron seems believable too. I don't know enough about it, and they haven't. Like, I'm definitely at the price point of investing in the game where I should definitely get that for free. At this point, I don't know why it's not being included with concierge and stuff anymore. But yeah, like seeing what they've shown so far, it seems to. But again, I only have a short. Looking at my runtime on my fuse getting ready to blow up or whatever, like getting actually towards release there is much shorter compared to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So I don't have a lot of data to work with. But again, the reason I got into the game is it's looking like it's getting somewhere. Whether or not that somewhere is where people want it to be or whatever is a different story. But the few things left to do and some of the final stuff, like the admittance of saying, okay, yeah, we're not getting 100 or 1,000 systems, like that, some of that stuff that's saying, okay, we're kind of scaling it back. The stuff they've shown thus far seems believable to be, I mean, I think 2 years, but to me, it still has a lot of ships. So maybe it's something like 5 years, but at least also them admitting stuff like I think the Expanse. No, it's not the Expanse. The MISC. Yeah, I think the MISC Expanse is the one that is the refinery ship. I'm thinking of the MISC. What's the bigger MISC ship with all the modules?
The Endeavor?
Yeah, the Endeavor. So the MISC Endeavor, for example, they've said is not coming out until after 1.0. So these idea of some of these ships, they're saying, okay, I know they're not done yet, but they're not going to be delivered until the games comes out. At least starts to tell me that they're realizing there's too much left to be done in alpha to the point where like they have to put an end to it. So I think at least admitting that's like they probably could say the same thing about the Banu. I mean, they don't want to probably, but some of these ships that aren't done yet, they probably just need to say, yeah, that's not coming till 1.1 or something. Like,
right.
I guess there's a whole other issue too of this whole we're on 4.0 and it's not even the game's not out yet. They need to call it 0.4.0 or something. But anyways, here nor there. But the idea that these ships, some of these ships aren't even going to come out till 1.0 is at least admitting that it's potentially, I don't know. To me, it just seems like they have more of an end date in mind than they did maybe previously.
Okay. All right. I mean, fair enough. Fair enough. I struggle with it because sometimes I'm like, fuck you, CIG. And then other times I'm like, I don't know what it is. Cause like I took 6 months off from the game and then I started playing it again. And then I was like, I'm not covering it. Like I got mad and I'm not covering it. And I didn't cover it for like a month or 2 months or something like that. But it's like, I hate to say it, but it's like a drug. Like and so many of my acquaintances and friends play it or have played it or talk about it that I go, oh man, like I miss X part of Star Citizen, and I end up either re-downloading it or start talking about it again. It's like crack, and I can't get away from it. It's terrible. It's terrible. But
yeah. Well, I mean, so if you asked about WoW is similar to that too with the MMO component. There's been tons of times where like I'm not going to play this expansion, and usually I'll end up buying the expansion anyways, even though if I don't play it, so I can maybe drop in or something. But more often than not, I play World of Warcraft. This is the first time. Well, actually, the last couple of expansions have been the first time I've really been able to say, okay, I don't want to play that anymore. I just haven't. I just haven't been playing it. So, but with MMOs and World of Warcraft specifically, there was a lot of times where like I don't really want to, and I would find a way to get in there, level up a character, or do X, Y, or Z, just to kind of keep up with it, or play on my own even, and not do what the game is meant. You know, it's meant to be raiding or doing PvP, or you're meant to do the big ticket items, or for me, sometimes just want to level up characters or something.
Right.
So, kind of correlating that Star Citizen, there's a couple things with Star Citizen that make it pretty interesting, and one is, again, you can have your own fun. Well, you can kind of do whatever you want. There isn't any set pacing where you have to do X, Y, or Z. Like you can just kind of do it on your own time and your own, like you can go in and do it as needed. So that also is, like I said, is a positive. So if you want to just kind of like, oh, I want to go see Pyro and walk around some of the different areas there, you can go do that. I mean, you could get killed or whatever, but maybe you just want to go see Orson, or maybe you want to take a look at the new animals that are out, or whatever it is you might want to do. It's free to do that and come and go as you please. The other good thing about it, or the thing that I think is powerful with it, is it's a relatable. It's not a relatable time period, but it is a relatable environment. Like there is a realistic component to space, and there's a realistic. So when you look at World of Warcraft, that's mystical. The mythical, it's not happening. Like there's
Right.
not. Like I'm not gonna ever be a night elf. I'm not ever gonna be an orc, or like that's. It's all made up. That's fun, but there's stuff about like Subnautica. There's something about Star Citizen where you could kind of see or envision that happening. Like it's realistic enough. Now, I mean, some people do get lost in Tolkien's universe or World of Warcraft, but for the most part, when you look at space sims and you look at some of the other stuff, it's not out of like you can actually really envision it, and you can really, because I mean, I think people get caught up in these ships and go, okay, how would I do this in real life? Like, how would I, live in this ship? How would I? And they just you get pulled in by them because it's super relatable to the fact that obviously we don't get to live in space. There's not a non-zero chance that if we somebody passed away or something, that you do show up in a alternate reality, not alternate, but like way far away in the universe, and you do live in Star Citizen land or something, right? But like, there's not a non-zero chance that some civilization out there is just avoiding because we're basically an anthill. In
Right.
the just like you drive past an anthill. I don't stop by every anthill I see on the way home from work. I just drive past and I don't care. There's even might see animals or something. I just like, oh, look, an animal, and keep going. So the idea in this wide open galaxy that something like this is impossible even going on is not a non-zero chance. It's probably highly unlikely, but there's that kind of reality or relativity that you can kind of take with the game, and it allows you to kind of let your imagination. You can kind of get into it a bit more. I think.
I think
I don't know. Someone has to probably do a study on it, but that's part of where I go with it.
I think a large portion of it too is that a great many, I'm not going to say all of us, but a great many of us are also big into the sci-fi thing.
Right.
So we're into Star Trek, Star Wars, Babylon
Mhm.
5, Battlestar Galactica, and the comic books and the movies and the books and everything else that went along with it. And we all
Yep.
waited for video games to get to this point so we could be like, I can command this super large ship, or I can live the Luke Skywalker fantasy and do the Death Star trench run, right? And we've
Mhm.
kind of all waited for computers and video games to get to this point, and it's kind of happening, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's another thing that pulls a lot of people in as well. The whole
Yeah. I mean, even going back to the Valkyrie again, the only reason people are buying that ship right now is because it looks like the Aliens 2 dropship. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it looks like a bunch of the other dropships because a lot of them kind of go off of. It looks like the StarCraft one. It looks like the stereotypical dropship because again, it doesn't do anything that currently is valuable to the game. So if you actually pledged for that ship, I am one of those idiots. But I'm saying, what are you doing with your life?
I,
So like, it's one of those things where there's a second kind of cool factor to a lot of these ships, and it takes some sort of like you said, lost in that sci-fi sauce where you're like, do you envision yourself flying that dropship in Aliens 2 or something? I don't know what it is. I mean, for me, the Valkyrie, I just like the look of it, and
it
like I
looks
said,
cool.
it's close enough to the Carrack and Pride. I mean, they are far away, but if you start to look at what CCU change you need after Valkyrie, I like the Carrack enough, like I mentioned before, and it pulled me into the game so much. I typically like to get ships if I'm getting ready to give it up, because I usually do. Because again, the only time I want to see it is when I want to walk around and see it. I rarely actually use it. Like I'll do bunker running in that thing, and it is the most ridiculous bunker. Like why? Like there's no reason to do it. Go take a C8R. Like that's the reason I got the C8R. Take a C8R out there. It makes more sense. You can hide it easier from the turrets. It's not big and ridiculous. Someone doesn't going to steal somebody stole my C8R. Nobody's stealing your Honda Civic. They want the Lexus down the street that's huge and ridiculous and has a bunch of stuff you don't need in it.
Speaking of the Honda Civic of the Star Citizen universe, right? If you
Yep.
want an even less stealable ship than that to bunker run in, but has some nice features, so to speak. I'm
Yeah.
trying to do car speak, but it's not really working for me. Um,
Yeah.
the Reliant core.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
I
it's
haven't used a lot of those. I mean, they're an interesting concept, but I haven't used any of them.
buy one in game. Okay, just buy one
Yeah.
in game and play with it,
Sure.
and take it bunker running. Here's the cool thing I love about that ship. Okay, it's small enough, and when you do the landing gear, it goes from the cockpit's like
Yeah.
this, right?
Like the bounty hunting thing, it
Yeah,
flips over.
and then it flips, right? So when
Yeah.
you're flying like this, and then it flips like this to do to land,
Mhm.
you can hide that thing behind a pebble, right? So you can
Yeah.
get real close to those hostile bunker turrets and just land
Yep.
behind a soda can, and you're fine. And another cool thing is, you can put a PTV in the back of it.
Oh, nice.
So
Yeah, for me, it was just having the med bed with the C8R
yeah,
and
I mean,
the carriage and stuff like that. Yeah.
there's a lot of attraction for that, but I've
Yeah.
had people, this was back in the 317 through 320 era, when a wipe would happen and I needed more gear, I would take a core and I would go and run bunkers. I can't tell you how many times I'm on my way out of a bunker and somebody would come up in a Connie or a Vanguard or whatever, or Scorpius, and look down, see me getting into my ship, stare at me for a second, and then go, yeah, no, it's not worth it, and fly
Yeah.
away, 'cause it's like, oh, this guy's poor as hell. So
Oh, yeah, definitely.
yeah, but super fun ship. Just give it a shot in game. I
Yeah, I
like
should
it.
use it. I just haven't really focused on them at all. And that's the thing. Luckily, I mean, I'm glad I don't like every single. We talked to our friend Valus, and I think he likes all the ships. I don't know which ones he doesn't have at this point, but
Yeah,
some people really do take it like Pokemon. They want to catch them all. For me, at
yeah.
least, I do set a bar on some of them. I'm like, okay, yeah, I just don't. That one is kind of for me though. I mean, I do kind of like some of those, like kind of the Corsair. I don't necessarily like the Corsair, which is interesting, but I like that asymmetric. Sometimes I like that asymmetric feel, but for some reason, sometimes the ships just don't pan out for me. For me, the Corsair, usually the hangars and stuff are too funky with those wings.
Yeah.
Like if I'm landing in an extra large hangar that just opens up, like my home planet, it's not a problem. But sometimes it'll be in funky hangars, like a medium hangar or something, and then it'll just be desync, and I'm like, oh, cool, now I don't have it. That gun's gone or something because I hit the tip of the hangar or something.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So last question, I guess.
Okay.
So you, because I don't want to repeat myself, but I guess I will. You've been here for a year and a half ish, almost 2 years,
Mhm.
right? How do you keep the game fresh for yourself and for your YouTube content?
Yeah. So some of the stuff I focus. If you chase the meta and you chase the events, generally you can kind of, especially if you're newer, you can kind of. You have to spend quite a bit in the game though, too, or out of game. You can kind of get enough to do. So, for example, before this event, I really hadn't mined too much. I'd done some prison mining. I'd done mining here or there. This is the first time I've actually taken the mole out and mined, and I've been playing the game for a year and a half. Right. So if you talk about you've been playing the game for X amount of time, I haven't even done a lot of the stuff. That core you talk about, there's tons of ships to be had. Like I have the money to buy it, so I could say, you know what, this month I'm going to play with the core and really get into it. So this idea that you kind of just need to say, okay, I want to use this ship for this time period, or I don't. Some people I think just get lucky with being able to come up with content. The other thing I mentioned to you, I decided to kind of do a ship talk where I decided, I would do this Amber Liberator because I'm excited about this ship. I think I'll do the same thing for the Ironclad because that's coming out. And I want to be able to put a box down and just see what'll kind of fit in there. A lot of people just like to see that stuff, even if it's long. Like the video I just did was like an hour long, and people were actually watching it, so it blew my mind. I'm just like, I was falling asleep editing the dang thing. So not really. Like I obviously I want to watch my stuff before it goes out, and so I do my best to do all that. Sometimes I'll find myself thumbing through it a bit, trying to QT my own work or quality control at QA. But yeah, all in all, like typically there's so many ships I haven't flown. There's so many, like I said, some of those meta things, like even the weird stuff. When I first got started, I did deliveries. Like, I was a mailman for a while. I didn't understand that when you start to get into it, about the fifth mission, when you're doing mail deliveries, for some reason they have you picking up boxes in front of the Nine Tails or whatever. Like, they have you picking up boxes from like the gang leaders and stuff. Like, you're literally actively having to be
Yeah.
in combat to pick up
Yeah.
these. Like, what do you do? Like, what? No, what? Why am I in
Yeah.
the hood to pick up these boxes? So like, I don't know what's going on with that. Like, I don't even have, like, I'm in this sperm suit. I'm getting actively shot at. The cool thing is, usually outside, so I just use my C8R to mow them down. But yeah, like, as a new player, there's tons of stuff. But yeah, making guides to help people out. I think for me, instantly, I didn't see a guide that I wanted to see. So for me, a lot of the times I make content that, like, I wanted to see. And so,
Okay.
like, make guides for stuff that I haven't seen yet. Obviously, a lot of it's duplicate at this point. Like right now, the mole. Because a lot of people are mining, there's a thing where you can get like 192 SCUs. It's been beat to death at this point. You can basically, there's a glitch essentially where you can get more cargo capability in the mole,
Huh.
basically more than doubling it. And there's many methods to do it, but everyone's beat the heck out of that. So at this point, there's so many videos made about it but yeah, making videos about that kind of stuff too sometimes, if you catch it early enough.
Here's the thing with Star Citizen, right? So as far as being able to play it, it's been around 7 years, 8 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is there is almost no content that's never been done before, right?
Right.
Zero to heroes. I'm going to use a cyclone to circumnavigate Hurston. Like, it's been, like, whatever you think of, it's already been done probably 2 or 3 times. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because um everybody has a different opinion on even the exact same thing, right? Doesn't matter what it is. Everybody has
Yeah.
kind of a slightly different take on it. So I I
I
mean,
mean,
I wouldn't be worried about making duplicate videos. I mean, obviously there
oh
are
yeah.
some videos that you're like, I have to get this out because X thing is happening, and it's kind of a time thing, and yeah, you need to get it out. But yeah, I mean, I understand that. But yeah, as far as like original content, I don't think there's very much original content left in Star Citizen outside of like the machinima.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so like, I did find a bug that I think was good I love to find, so I don't want to necessarily show bugs that are like disastrous and harmful for the economy or harmful to other people. I do like to show bugs that are good money makers for people that have any ships. Like, if you just got the Aurora MR and you want to fly the Carrack one day and you want to make the money, because that was where I was at originally, right? I had the
Right.
C8R. I think I had bought the Mustang just because it was the lowest pledge in. And I actually like the Aurora more. Like, if I had to pledge for one or the other, I would have done the Aurora. But I just wanted to work my way up to the C8R, and I actually bought in cheaper. I guess it didn't matter because you have to pay the same amount of price to get to the C8R either way. But there's no C8R starter package,
No.
so I ended up getting the C8R originally. I think I got the Mustang to begin with. All that being said, that's the only ship I had for a while, and then I ended up getting the Vulture. I let myself get that. But those two ships were the only ones I had for a long time before I actually let myself pledge more. And even those two ships, that's still expensive, right? You're like $200 in with those two if you actually, because I
Yep.
actually pledged for them. I didn't CC you up to them. Actually, no, I did CC you up to the C8R, but I didn't wait for it to go on discount that I recall. I'm pretty sure I paid full CCU up for it. I didn't know about the CCU game. I didn't wait for it to go on War Bond. That being said, I found I guess it's quote unquote an exploit where you could do that hammerhead mission. But what you could do is you could fly to it and then fly away and then get back to it, and it would let you get in the hammerhead and turn it on and fly it away. So when you either salvaged the hammerhead or you were towing it away, you would get 250,000. And so what I was showing people is that with whatever ship you're in, you just quantum to Yella, you quantum to the jump point, which is the salvage of the hammerhead, and then you would quantum back to Yella and then quantum back to the hammerhead. You could turn it on and fly it away. And then if you want, fly it on for a while if you'd like. Typically they were in fairly working order, or just blow it up and go again, and you're getting 250,000 every time you do that. So those are the kind of quote unquote exploits I like to show for new people. That way they can buy other ships that aren't having to actually pledge for it and enjoy the game. Because again, part of I think the allure of the game and having something to do is getting a new ship and trying it out. So unfortunately for, if you play for years, you probably have flown every ship and maybe, some of that joy is gone. But I typically, I mean, and certain missions are only available. So like you get tired of bunker running, you get tired of bounty hunting.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't, sometimes I just take a ship out and I want to salvage it. And you're playing, there's multiple games rolled up into it, right? There's that, actually my wife plays it, the pressure washer game. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah.
That's salvage, right? Like that's what you're playing. So like there's multiple games rolled up into one here, which is, do you want to be a bounty hunter and then maybe do some cargo? Do you want to do cargo? Do you want to do some pressure washing game salvage? And, do you want to do some mining? There's enough to be had there that to really, I think, to entertain people. I mean, if it was the only game that existed, sure, there'd be, some boredom with it, but I think there's enough content to be had there to have fun. And then there's enough stuff that hasn't been done yet. Like I said, my video idea of the ironclad, I just want to take a box and I want to see what ships will fit in that box, and people will watch that because they'll want to see what can fit in the ironclad. And I think someone just hasn't done that yet.
I'm gonna watch it because I mean,
feel free to make the video if you come up before me.
No,
it's an idea, I guess. But
well, here's I started watching your Liberator video. I didn't finish it.
Oh, yeah.
It was long.
No, it's long. It's freaking long.
Yeah,
I was falling asleep when I was watching every QA. I literally was like, I can't even stay up for this.
I made it to about 27 minutes in, and then I had to turn it off and
that's a good run. I appreciate it.
Do family stuff. But here's the thing. I'm interested in the what you can fit in I almost forgot what it was. Can I fit a tank in there and a Scorpius? Can I fit, right? There's a lot of combinations that are going through my head right now. Like, what can I all fit in there? Can I fit a ballista in there somehow? And if I can fit a ballista in there somehow, can I open the door and fire a missile through it? Like, that'd be really cool.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
And people that have the skills to be able to do that I watched the ship, the guy that does the shipyard, the Grem, and they own the oh my god, am I actually saying it right? I have to double check the link that I've got, but the Star Jump. So yeah, they had like the Star Jump fleet viewer type stuff. He's able to actually, I mean, that's where you have necessarily the skills. Another guy that I follow, there's a couple of people that actually have the 3D capability to actually take a look at the renderings and play with them and stuff. I wish I had that skill set. I just don't have it. So like Tristan Pone, who I actually end up subscribing to, and I haven't really looked at his Galaxy yet, but the idea of being able to play with those assets and understand them better, it just comes down to making the time to do the video and putting the energy into it. So because a lot of people don't realize how much it is to make these videos. So even just what we're doing now, sure, we've put this X amount of time into it, but you're probably going to put, footage on this or something that's going to take a long time to put that all together.
I'm gonna be honest.
It took a long time, Scarred. Your time is valuable. It took forever.
That's right, Guardian.
People should pay you for your time.
That's right. you heard, Guardian. Start paying up. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah. But I mean, there's a lot of it. It doesn't matter if you're doing simple edits or you're doing, like you said, the Blender thing and editing footage into that and all of that. It really doesn't matter. Like, it still takes time to do it.
Yeah.
And it's easy, but it's not as easy as it looks, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been making that Liberator video for days, and there was a lot of part of it too is doing it around the family time. So I know I've told you before, but I work, my computer's in my room, unfortunately. We just didn't happen to get a house with an office, and there's nowhere else to put it really. There is, it's fine where it's at, and everybody's, I have a supportive spouse, right? So that's part of the game, right? If for YouTube content creator, if you don't have people that support what you're doing, then good luck. You're not gonna probably be successful. But we should have put that out sooner. It's just I didn't have time to record the footage. It's super long. I mean, I didn't have time to put the footage together, so I kept watching that video. I kept capturing things I wouldn't have captured otherwise, and putting it all together. Obviously, it took longer to make that hour. I recorded that same video that was the third or fourth go at it. I got pretty lucky with actually recording the video, but yeah, a lot of that stuff, it just takes a long time. And I don't do scripts, but it doesn't matter. It's still just I'll try to stop myself. I haven't been doing it, not that I can tell, but like we mentioned before, the whole O and Us and feeling the need to actually put in those little likes. I'm originally from California, so I could be a Valley girl, and thankfully I don't say like as much as I used to, having come from being a millennial from California.
I'm a Midwest boy, so there's a lot of ahs. If I make a mistake, I haven't caught myself say it too much, but if it, there's a, I don't know if it's a strictly Midwestern word or what, but it's
Mhm.
like if you almost run into somebody or somebody drops something near you, and it's used in more than just that, but ope, have you ever heard that before?
Ope?
Ope,
I
yeah,
don't think so. No.
yeah, OPE, yeah, it's kind of a Midwest thing, and yeah,
Mm,
there's a few other things that we say
mhm.
that's odd, but I've generally caught myself and stopped. The ums and the ahs are really hard for me to get rid of. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
bad. It's bad. It's really bad.
Yeah. I mean, my videos would definitely be better with the script, and I wish I had like a better production value. But you just do what you got. You do with what you got.
Yep, exactly. So is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap this up? And anything at all? Advice? Um, don't buys. I don't know. And anything you want to say?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously it's always fun to chat with you and to subscribe for those people that have joined over. I'm going to do hopefully plan on getting this over to see if folks will join it. I don't know how long, run a little long. Hopefully people will get to watch it. I appreciate the time. And this is always fun to chat these out. So not a lot of people will reach out to me necessarily to make these. When I joined my org, nobody even knew. I mean, I don't expect people to know who I am. So that's not a problem. But, there's so many content creators out there and stuff like that. And a lot of people
Yeah,
don't get their voice heard. So
yeah.
I've always been appreciative of the community and letting me share my thoughts. It's funny when people will tell me like, "How dare you think that?" as they're dropping a comment to tell me their thoughts. So my community is always great when they're like, you're sharing a thought against somebody else's thought, right? Like that's what the comment section is about. Is so how dare this one person share a thought you disagree with as you're telling them in a comment you disagree with them.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff is always funny to me. But all in all, and maybe I was a little harder earlier on the whole murder hornet thing and the murder hobo thing. And people are usually in hornets. I guess that's why murder hornets is usually what you're getting murdered by. If you're going to get murdered by something, it's probably an F7A or
Oh,
something.
yeah.
But I definitely don't want to see people banned over that kind of stuff. And like I said, some people, it's a boring game. So I get, people wanting to do, as I said, we do a little trolling around here, right? So there's a little trolling that goes on sometimes. And I don't want people, their accounts banned and stuff like that. It could be disheartening when people do things outside the scope of what is considered to be proper play or whatever. Like, doing things in our system or whatever. It just could be frustrating. But at the same time, don't be frustrated by it. Like, don't let them win, right? Like, just go on for your day. Like, it's not a big deal. It's just a game. We're all here to just have fun. If you're not having fun with Star Citizen, stop playing. Don't stop paying, stop playing. Um, don't let the sunk cost fallacy win. And we are all pretty heavily invested. So I get, follow the project if you want to, but if you 100% need to stop the habit and somehow you don't want to be a part of it anymore, there's no sunk cost fallacy. Like I said, I mean, this tomorrow the game could end. Like Chris could be gone tomorrow and they could decide they're done with the game. We could have sunk money into nothing. Just you need to go into this knowing that the money is kind of gone. So pledge with that in mind, I guess, and try to do your best. And if you're, and that's why I just want to tell people if they're not willing to kind of set that boundary, don't even get into it, right? So like if you have a gambling problem, don't gamble with us, right? So
Mm.
just I don't know, I don't know any other really advice, but a lot of people will pledge a lot in this game. So if they've got money for it, it's great. If I hate to see people waste money and stuff like this if they don't really have the money for it. So don't be like setting a second mortgage on your house to deal with the Kraken if or get your favorite ship. Like don't be
No,
yeah,
just
it's
start
just
up a
not worth
YouTube
it.
channel and have other
Yeah,
people.
start a YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Do what
there
we
you
all do, which is beg the community for money that they've all spent money on. It's just a big, I'm not going to say circun, but it's a big jerk. I don't know. Yeah. It's just a big circle going on over here. No, but I do appreciate the community. I try not to ask about the memberships and stuff like that. I just try to use, would like to be valued for my time. So like, that's why I do leave ads on, unfortunately. But that's the only way to make some sort of income versus the time spent. I mean,
Mhm.
hourly wage wise, YouTube money is a joke. I mean,
Yeah.
that's,
I mean, look, most of us, and I think I can speak for you as well. Most of us
mm,
that do this don't do it for the money and the
right.
fame and the clout and all of that other stuff. I do it because, like, I won't speak for you on this. I do it
Yeah.
because I enjoy connecting with other fellow space nerds and
Yeah.
having talks like this and just talking about sci-fi in general and just sharing the enjoyment with others. That's really the only reason why I do it. If I didn't
Mhm.
enjoy it and sharing this stuff with other people, I would have quit a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, when the game comes out, when we're all like 65 and I can actually retire, maybe I can spend more time with this when 1.0 comes out. But until then, I mean, this is just a side gig that I enjoy doing on occasion. But there's not a non-zero chance that I have to put these ships in my will or that I retire before I get the chance for this to and 1.0 comes out as I'm retiring, so I can spend more time with the game. So unless something like that happens, I did talk to you beforehand that job wise I live or I work in an area where it's fairly cyclical. And so there's times where they do fire a bunch of people. So I've been blessed and thankful that I just put my head down and work my hardest I can. It's the best you can do. Unfortunately, in the corporate America, sometimes firings, it's become more common than it has become. Unfortunately, it's becoming more common. But just put my head down and get the work done. But I wish I could put more time in this. There's just not enough time in the day. And we spend a quarter of it sleeping anyway. So at least maybe it's a third. Depends on your sleep value. I mean, unfortunately for us here in America, we typically probably spend way less time sleeping than we probably should be.
Yeah,
Actually sleeping.
probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate your time. It went a little bit
Yeah. Thanks for
longer than
having
I
me.
was hoping it would go.
Yeah.
I was
Sorry about that.
trying to condense it. No.
Yeah.
It's no. I mean, hey, look, we got ideas, we got opinions. You didn't. It's not like you kept me up too late or anything like that. But
Past
yeah,
my bedtime.
is it?
No.
Do you need your milk and cookies?
I do, yeah. I go tuck myself in.
All right. No, but
No, yeah. I mean, so none of this was pre-scripted, right? And you didn't share the questions ahead of time, so it's
uh,
definitely is one of those things that just off the cuff, right? So just free
well,
thinking.
I wrote down questions, but I mean,
No,
some.
I didn't have the questions, so I wasn't able
Oh,
to pre-script.
I
Yeah. So from like a script standpoint, like, and I don't care one way or the other, but it's
should have
just one of
said.
those things where I unfortunately get a bit winded. So I'm sorry that I went a bit. Sometimes
Are you
at one time I lost train of thought on one of the questions.
are you sure
But
you're not Midwestern?
I sit down south. It's close enough. I'm south at this point. It's in Texas, so
You're kind of Midwestern then. You're like
yeah,
South
getting there.
Midwestern. So,
Yeah,
no, we're kind of all the same. But
yeah.
and once again, thank you so much for giving me your time. I really appreciate it, and I have a lot of fun with these talks. Do you got to sign off? Do you have a sign off?
No, just thanks for coming out and thanks for having me. Thanks for everyone that's watching. If you made it through, I appreciate it. And give Scarred a sub if you haven't had a chance to do so. I was interested to see how the customer base is, and so I'll be interested to see once this goes out if other people will join. So now sub Discard.
Yeah. Also, guys, please go if you haven't go sub to that guy over there. He make like I said, I don't leave a comment on every video, but I definitely leave a like and I watch almost all of your stuff that you put out. And I like Guardian
Appreciate it.
stuff. Go check them out. Watch them, sub, follow, like all the fun
All
stuff.
the things.
All the things.
Yeah,
Do all the things.
all the things. All the things.
But for me, that's it, guys. You know how I end it here. So long. Thanks for all the fish, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.